Hello, hello, risers, and welcome to another episode of the Rising with Christian podcast. I hope that you have been rising this week. If you're watching, type it in the chat. What is one way you have risen? If you are driving, if you're chilling in your house, I want you to be thinking about that because this is a space where we rise in our profession, rise in our personal lives, and just rise in our purpose. So I am excited because we have a very special guest with us today. She goes by the name of Camille Joy. And I just want to first welcome you before I read your amazing bio.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here and chat with you today.
Yay, yeah. I'm truly excited. So for those who do not know Camille Joy, she is a wife. She's a mother to five boys. Wowzers.
Five boys.
An I'm sorry.
I said five boys.
Five boys. Woo. You're gonna have to share some nuggets today. But she is
Mhm.
a mama of five boys, entrepreneur, a podcaster, started Moments of Joy podcast back in 2018, and it is just growing and exponentially. And she is a voice of hope and just truly is a change maker and a catalyst in the lives of so many women and mothers and wives. And so today, we're talking about choosing joy. You're going to get to know her story and understand her platform, but I want us to go into what does it mean to choose joy and how Camille does this on a regular basis as she empowers women. So, welcome again.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Yes. So I know who you are. Many
Mhm.
people who are listening probably know your story, but walk us through a little bit of who is Camille? How would you
Yeah.
describe yourself?
I'm a friendly person, and what you see is what you get. The vibes that you get, whether you follow me on social media or you meet me in person, that's really who I am. Just
Mm,
just full of joy, and because I made it a choice to be. I was just
mm,
thinking in the shower, I said, "Oh, I have to write this down that your road throughout life will not be joyful all the time, but surely you can
mhm,
pull out moments of joy." And so,
mm.
that has really been the focus because behind every beautiful thing there is a story, right? And
Right.
so, and the oil, as we like to say, does come with a cost. So,
That it does. I mean, I think about the
mhm,
olive oil and you have to press it with the right amount of force to
there you
extract the
go.
oil, and that's a part of your story. That's a part of your
Mhm.
story. You mentioned having to choose joy. Walk me through maybe the moment where you realized you weren't probably maximizing your joy in your life. What was that like for you?
Oh yeah. So as you mentioned, I was a mom. I'm a mom of five boys. Mason is my youngest. He came along later on because he's only four. But my oldest children are 20, 20, 17, 16, and 14. My 14-year-old is getting ready to turn 15 next week. And so when they
Wow.
were younger, I went through the most difficult time in my life. I had left their father, who
Mm,
I was in an abusive relationship with, and I made the decision to give my life back to Christ. And, went back to college and everything was going sort of okay. And I got hit with,
mhm.
served one day with a letter from court that let me know he was taking me to court for full custody of the children. And
Wow.
this was my abuser, right? So in no way did I think,
Mm,
it would end up the way that it did, but I ended up losing custody of three of my children to him. And so,
wow.
yeah, although we had joint legal custody, there was no enforcer. So there were many times I didn't know if their tooth fell out. I didn't hear their voice. He restricted me
Jesus.
from really being able to talk to them. And so I became deeply suicidal and depressed. And so there
Mm,
would be times where I would call my mom at like 2:45 or 3 o'clock in the morning and just cry. I would just say, "Pray for me," because I knew if I killed
mm,
myself, my mom would take care of my oldest son, Quentin, who was home with me still, and
mhm.
that he would be all right. And so she warred and she prayed me through. And then that went on for days and weeks. And then one
Mm,
day I just decided that I would not die here, and that
Wow.
I begin to be the one when I woke up in the middle of the night to pray myself through and to,
Jesus.
receive the promises of the Lord that my home would be restored. And it was a long time. I didn't fully get
Mm.
restored for 9 years. Um,
Jesus.
for 9 years. And so I made the decision, although everything around me was ugly and really enough to take me out, that I was gonna have to
Mhm.
choose joy, because joy is something that's not based on any circumstance. So you could literally be going through hell, but decide that
Mhm.
I'm gonna choose joy. That means that
Wow.
it's gonna live inside of me. Okay, the joy of the Lord is my strength. I'm gonna put my feet to the ground every day and decide that I'm gonna have
Mhm.
joy today. And you
Wow.
can take it moment by moment and day by day.
Mm. And people may see you now and they see that you've garnered millions of views and thousands, hundreds of thousands of likes, but there is a story. And I love your transparency with talking about your journey, being a wife, being a mother, that transition, and it being a 9 year period. But what was that source of joy? I was reading a devotional yesterday and it talked about
Mhm,
God being the source, but when
mhm.
you felt like everything was falling apart, like what was it a Bible study? Was it a sermon that you heard? What was that catalyst for you to say, I'm gonna rise?
It was his voice, right? So that's why
Mm,
it's really important for you to have your own relationship with God. And that can take place anywhere where you are, right? So that was in my bed, sitting up, thinking of a way that I was going to take myself out, but then hearing the voice of the
Jesus.
Lord say, your children will return home. Hearing the voice of the Lord say, I will restore. You know, that was the moment right there. So continuing to commune with him gave me strength and joy. Um,
Mhm,
and getting in his word, I began to look up other moms that were separated from their children, and I wasn't alone.
mm,
It was Rachel in the Bible was weeping for her children, and the scripture says there, stop your weeping, for your children shall return to their borders. She was separated from her child. Hannah was
mhm,
separated. She gave her child back to the Lord, right? Mary was separated from her child.
mhm.
So there were so many other countless women in the Bible who were separated from their children, and I was able to gain strength from reading those stories as well.
Wow. That's amazing. How did that experience birth who you are today and the platform that you are using to empower literally thousands of people throughout the world?
Mhm. That's a great question. So when it happened, no one knew that I was going through this except for my family members, and they knew that if I told anyone, Camille would chop my head off. So it was
Mm,
so private and isolated. Probably to today, many extended family members still fully don't even know what happened, or that I was living without my children. Um, I
mm,
kept it so private, but there are thousands of women across the United States that have gone through that and had no one to share with. So my friends, the few of them that did know, they started saying, "Oh my gosh, I know this woman who is going through a custody battle, or maybe she lost her children to DCF, or some kind of way had lost
mhm,
custody of her child." And they started sending me different women, white, black, Spanish, high income, low income. It's just across the board these stories of um the judicial system just going wrong and doing wrong and separating
mhm,
families. Really strengthened me to begin to tell my story. So where it started was a place where I could become comfortable. It was nobody there but just a microphone, sharing what had happened and giving strength
mhm,
to other parents who had gone through that as well.
mm. Wow, wow. So you mentioned this microphone and sharing your story. At what point in the story did you actually start your podcast?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't yet restored. I was not yet
Mhm.
restored, and I had got married, which was another story. I didn't even have a wedding. We went to the justice of peace because
The
I
second time it was
to my
what
husband.
part? Okay,
Yep.
okay.
I was never married to my abuser. I was 17 when I met him, and was with him
Okay.
for 5 years.
Okay.
So in 2018 now, I got married in 2015, had Mason June 2017, and I'm
Mhm.
working as an executive chef. I'm at the top of my career now. I went to culinary school and had climbed up the career ladder,
Wow.
and oh, I was saying now, I didn't have a wedding. We went to the Justice of Peace because my children weren't home. And so I was like, I can't have a wedding and them not be in it. I can't, you know.
Wow.
One day we will, though. We're going to have one 10-year anniversary.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes.
but I had become obsessed with listening to podcasts at work. I would put it in my ear and listen to my favorites, Patrice Washington and Tatum Tamia, and just listen to them while I was at work. And one day the Lord said, "Now it's your turn." And I was
Wow.
like, podcast. And I asked my husband about it, who's a videographer, and he's like, I don't know anything about podcasts. Nobody was really doing them that I
Mhm,
knew. So I had to, just research, and I figured out how to get started, and really just started. I was super nervous, but soon got the hang of it. But that's
mhm.
why I started and where it started.
Wow. Well, I am so glad you started. And I know that you started back in 2018. So you are not new to this thing, but what is it for anyone who's never listened? What is some of the content? What is your mission behind starting that podcast?
Yeah, so it started out being for Christian women in
Hmm.
2018, really just encouraging and sharing testimonies. In 2020, um, I started to notice a shift, and I leaned
Hmm.
into that shift. And so I would often review the statistics and see who was listening from where and what episodes were doing the best. And I noticed
Hmm.
every time I did Dear Mommy segments, they were significantly higher than the rest. And so I
Okay.
decided to, just through the leading of the Holy Spirit, just shift. And so we became a mom podcast in 2020, and it was like after that the acceleration just really happened.
Wow. And I love the transparency of mommyhood. I do not have children at the moment, but there is this I see tribes. Women come together, they lean on each other, they share tips and practical ways of making mommyhood a bit easier. What is something that has surprised you as you've launched out and been consistent with this podcast?
um I think the growth was really surprising. I wasn't I knew that it could. So right before let me see, today's February 18th, right before January 1st of 2020, I was
Mhm.
just trying to get to 10K on Instagram.
Yeah.
I was just trying to um have a certain level of success, but I didn't imagine that it would surpass that to be
Mhm.
where it is right now. And I think it's the transparency.
Mhm.
Like you said, it's so much going on social media that um makes us feel like it needs to be perfect. You need to have a perfect feed, but people are over that. And especially now, moms who have children with special needs. So,
Mhm.
that's a whole
Mhm.
nother ball game. So when I tapped into that, I just said to myself, I might have to do another shift on the podcast. um, you
Wow.
know, and it's okay to do that, but I see that there's a need now, and so it's important to feel the need.
Mm. And anyone who follows you specifically on Instagram, we know that Mason is a very huge part of your story, and you're very transparent in your journey of mommyhood, and just being a mother and a support system for children of special needs. So, walk me through how you decided that you wanted to share your story and Mason's story to empower other moms and parents with children of special needs.
Yeah, that happened when I stumbled upon this little app called Clubhouse.
Mhm.
So after I made the shift to become a mom podcast in October, in December, I joined an app called Clubhouse and um, begin to have conversations surrounding motherhood, but specifically every Monday, for about 2 or 3 hours, we had a support group for families raising children with special needs and
Mhm.
disabilities. And I use both because a special need is a disability, but not every parent is comfortable yet with embracing the term my child is disabled. Um, but that is the proper term to use. And
Mhm.
so we started to have support groups, and then that's where I got more and more comfortable with just
Mhm.
sharing and receiving support. Now today, every resource that Mason has came from another parent. Every
Wow.
little thing that I found from another parent. So I just take, add to my pot and just give out what I've already gotten from other parents.
Mm. Now, I know that in your journey, there was one specific video that garnered over 5 million views on Instagram,
Mhm.
and it was actually how I met you before, but I didn't know that this was you. When I saw the video, you were crying and you were encouraging other moms with children of special needs. What was going on in your head? Because I know you probably didn't know that it was going to blow up and go viral like that. But
No.
what was going on in your head as you were sitting in the car, showing the tears running down your face, and your beautiful son in the back seat, not knowing what you're going through as a mom? Explain that moment for us.
Yeah. So I had already made up my mind in watching the way Instagram was going and my content was going that I was gonna focus on um autism and families with disabilities. I made that
Mm-hmm.
decision speaking to my husband about it. And Mason had been going through this new tugging on his ears and crying a lot all day, which is something that he normally does. He does cry a lot. Um, because of sensory issues with autism. And
Mm-hmm.
this particular day was already day 3 of him waking up in the middle of the night and staying up. So that means he would wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and that was it. He's just up. So by day 3, now he's crying and pulling on his ears, and I brought him to the walk-in to see if he had an infection. He
Mm-hmm.
turned into the Incredible Hulk. I was trying to hold him down, and the doctor was trying to hold him down, and we went from
Wow.
the table to the floor until she just looked at me and was like, "Mom, that's it. We're not gonna try anymore. We don't wanna
Wow.
traumatize him just trying to look in his ears." And she's sitting like a foot away from me, and at this point, Mason's in the corner screaming. And so,
Mm.
I didn't cry in the place. I was just like, "Okay." She said, "I'll give you amoxicillin, and if he
Mhm.
gets a fever, then you give it to him." And so,
Mhm.
when I got in the car, I just started to cry. And I was like,
Wow.
I'm just gonna record this second, and in this moment give encouragement to parents
Jesus.
who are raising children with special needs, because I'm not this is our reality. So,
Mhm.
although that was a moment I shared, this is what we go through every week, every day, sometimes every month, and every
Wow.
year. It is heavy. And so that is why it blew up, because parents were like, "Oh, somebody sees me. I have a
Wow.
child with cerebral palsy. I have a child with Down syndrome. I have a child with no XY chromosome, or all these things,
Mm.
no arms and no legs. I have a child with no ears. I have a child that's deaf, blind." They all came out of the woodworks,
Wow.
and now that's
Wow.
really where we are as a community. So I say to
Mhm.
them, when you follow me, you actually join this community of moms that are already grown, because on Clubhouse, I already grew the largest parenting club on that app, over 50,000
Wow.
people, right? In one
Wow.
year. And so um they joined this community of parents that understood each other.
Mm.
So, it's
Wow.
not even just about me.
And I love how you are unafraid to pivot. So I've just listened to just how you pivoted in so many ways, and how you would not have stumbled upon this blessing and been able to affect thousands of lives if you were stubborn on your way of doing things. So I want to encourage people who are listening. You may see Camille and her success, but one, it's a consistency, and two, just being obedient to the pivot.
Mhm. There you go. Because you have to give people what they want, not what you want. So I
That's
could
good.
still say, "No, I'm Christian women," or I could say, "No, I'm for all moms," and stay there, but then that limits what you wanna do.
Mhm.
I remember even starting Clubhouse, and the Lord really started to deal with me in being religious, and I didn't even really think I was.
Wow.
And so as the club began to grow, there was a point where you could accept people to join. Now anyone
Mhm.
can join, but back then you had to like approve them. And I was like, oh, this person is dark. Or I was being judgmental on who I would invite
Mhm.
in. And God said, I need you to be like Huggies and Pampers. Do you
Wow.
think they know who's getting the product or they're concerned with who's buying it?
Mhm. That's
No,
good.
I need you to be for moms. And it was a struggle, and God just constantly rebuked me and was like, "You're gonna block what I have for you." So it took some
Mhm.
tearing down of the walls because Jesus loved everyone. So that's
Mhm.
what he wants
Mhm.
us to do. Not just be, "Oh, no, you're to this or that." No, he wants you to just be a light and love, and let
Mm.
him handle the rest,
Right. Leave it right there.
right? And
And
everybody has a different mantle, right? But that was mine. That's what he wanted from me.
mm, and I love how, you have followers who may not have a child with a disability or special needs, but they're educating themselves and they are being allies and just joining a tribe by just learning more and being a servant.
Yeah,
So that's good.
that's the really important part because we all need each other to change the narrative around children with disabilities. Because how did we learn about it? I don't know about you, but I learned about disabilities, or as we used to say, handicapped people, or you
Mhm.
know, retarded people is a term they would use, but we only
Mhm.
learned from other kids in school, whether someone made fun of them or, whether you just saw someone and stared at them, but nobody really gave you a real
Right.
education on any of the differences. So I love that we get an opportunity to take part in that as families develop, then parents can have the conversation at home with their children.
Mm. And the beauty of your platform is that you the beauty of your platform is that you also do not shy away from your personal needs, and I think that it's amazing that you understand who you're called to be, and you also realize that you wear many hats. So you're an entrepreneur, you're a mom. How do you handle the overflow? Because sometimes we're posting, we don't know that things are going to just get big and blow up, which means people are going to want us to show up. We have to post content. We have to, be a person of our word. How do you
Mhm.
manage success and purpose and mommyhood? What is your secret sauce?
Yeah, I'm very committed to being consistent because that is
Mhm.
the major key. That is the
Major key.
major key right there. You have to show up. You don't always have to show up perfectly, but you have to show up. And so there's so much behind the scenes. There's no balance. I don't really believe in balance, but I believe in harmony, right? And I think about it like a choir. If you
Mhm.
got soprano, alto, tenor, bass. So some days you're gonna have to be soprano, go high on the business. That
Come
may
on.
mean we're getting pizza and takeout, or sometimes you fall back a little bit and you have to lean into marriage or you have to lean into your kids. Right now I'm leaning into the kids. I got to get into their schoolwork and make sure, we're closing the marking period on a good note. And so, it's just harmony, and you figure it out along the way, but the main thing is continuing to show up. You cannot drop the ball. Because if
Mm.
I just said, "Oh, nobody's listening to this podcast 2 years in," then I wouldn't be having the success that I am today.
Mhm. And I consistency is like my word this year because I realized that I stop and start. And so as I was preparing for our time together, I was going through your podcast and listening, and I'm like, wow, she's majorly consistent here. Also on social media, I'm not really sure how often you post. I know it's at least daily. For
Mhm.
someone who's listening, and I believe that your success and your influence will be able to help people with branding, period.
Oh,
Marketing.
thank
How do
you.
you start something from scratch,
Mhm.
whether it's moms or fitness? So I do believe that you have insight there. How you mentioned the algorithm and looking at the videos and watching the stats there, but what else are you doing to really market yourself and to be in front of the audience that you know you're called to serve?
Yeah, you look at what's doing well. I'm on
Mhm.
Instagram, but TikTok's algorithm is way better than Instagram. You don't always
Okay.
have to point or talk. Um, I'm gonna stay consistent with Instagram because it's already built up. But if it wasn't, I would be on TikTok. You just get more followers, and you don't always have to point and talk.
Mm.
Sometimes you could just show behind the scenes, or if you went to get coffee, or just give encouraging words and sit in front of the camera. But video
Mhm.
content, short form video content is it right now.
Okay.
So posting reels, and then, like you mentioned, study what is doing well. So what content is your audience already responding to well? What content, checking out your insights and seeing, what got the most likes or what got the most content, and kind of recreating that
Mhm.
content. Where I'm always in content mode, so if I see something cute, I'm pulling out my phone and kind of recording it. and
Mhm.
and so I had a conversation with my sister earlier, who's a teacher, right? She has no reason to do that. So she hardly posts on social media. And she said to me one day, "You're always doing that." And I said, "Yeah, because if I don't, I'm not eating.
Mhm.
This is my job." So when you embrace
Wow.
it like that and have goals, I want to be a seven-figure earner because I know I can, because I've seen
Mhm.
other people doing it, right? So they're
Yeah.
no different from us. Set the goal for what you want to achieve out of this and do it. I was an executive chef and I'm
Hmm.
doing this full time now. And so you can get out of it whatever you want to.
Wow. And is it timed? I know you mentioned just a bit of organicness just now, but for other moms who's like, I don't even have the time. I'm doing this and I'm doing that.
Mhm.
How does she even sit down? So are you one with big on schedules? Do you stay up late? Do you get up early? How do you handle the overwhelm that comes from the consistency?
Yeah, I journal a lot. I'm always writing any moment, any break, right? So if you're having
Uh-huh.
coffee in the morning and you may be up before the kids 20 minutes and you have, a break, or if your kids are watching TV, sacrifice some of your own TV time to just
Mhm.
plan. You can plan out content. You can also get help. I have a virtual assistant that I found right on Instagram. She lives in the Philippines, and I've been working with her for a year. Very affordable,
Mhm.
very affordable, because it's in the
Mhm.
Philippines, not in the United States. So their dollars convert a little differently. And, I'll
Mhm.
have her do research, find mom quotes, or, find podcast quotes, because I
That's
also
good.
am a podcast coach. And so I plan out, planning out is great, and do it quarterly. So what do you want to achieve quarterly? Do you want to use social media to sell courses, or do you want to get paid by brands? Last year, I
Mhm.
studied mom bloggers. This is important because I am
Okay.
not a mom blogger, but I knew they were getting paid. They get paid
Mm.
sometimes $20,000 to partner with a company for one post.
Wow.
So I knew by hearing from so many bloggers that, all right, what are they doing that I'm not doing? So I had a photo shoot. I took blog
Mhm.
like pictures, and someone just told me they were contacted through because of the reel, and they said, "Oh, I saw it on this mom blogger's page. She has a podcast." I'm not a mom blogger, but that let me know that I achieved the goal, right? And so
Okay.
now I'm
Okay.
getting partnerships from brands because I studied
Mhm.
other bloggers to see how, what they were doing. And, I don't want the
Mm.
perfect page, um, but I achieved that goal. So study other, what do they say? Study your competition. Although you're in your head, you're like, I'm not competing, but study the
Mhm.
people who who are doing what you would like to do.
So good. So good. So when you think about maybe a moment where you felt like throwing in the towel, or even the moment you're in the car and you're crying and the tears are rolling down your face, how do you get yourself back into the posture of joy when you're like, this is too much?
Mhm.
God is not answering my prayers. I'm overwhelmed. I don't see things happening. How do you get to joy in that moment of
I like music. So
okay.
I'll sing a song, and normally those are old hymns that I might know. I'll sing one, or um just have a quiet time where I'm listening to instrumental music. Um
Hmm.
just getting a break away, even if it's you having to go to the bathroom alone and get 5 minutes to breathe.
Hmm.
And then affirming yourself. I'm big on trying to find my book, but I think it's over there. These little post-it stickers. Um
Hmm.
I have about 20 on the mirror, and I started this in 2020, writing things that have not yet come to pass. Like, one says Camille um has lost 60 pounds. One says Camille is a multimillionaire. One says Camille and Marcus own a 6-bedroom home. My son had a
Mm.
glaucoma scare. I put Khalil does not have glaucoma. I put Camille is integral. Before I was an
Wow.
influencer, it said Camille is an influencer. Not because I
Wow.
wanted to be one, but because I heard the Lord say that I was one. And so I
Mm.
wrote it down and put it on the mirror. So affirming yourself is very important. Mary J.
Mm.
Blige has a song out today, and it's called "Good Morning Gorgeous." And she
Yes.
talked about how she affirmed herself through those low times. So affirming yourself, whatever you
Mm.
believe, whether you're using the word of God or just positive words, is important.
Yes, affirmations are important. Routines, knowing, because even for me, like currently, um, I wake up a little bit later in the day, but I can stay up to like 11 o'clock and crank out work. I don't know what it is, but my rhythm is shifting. So for those who are listening, just know what your sources of energy are. Is it
Mhm.
music? Is it singing? Is it prayer? Is it quiet time? Is it just
Right.
going into a room? So that's important. What encouragement do you have for moms? I know that our time is almost coming to an end, but all that is going on is 2020. We still have so much time in the new year. What encouragement are you wanting to resound amongst the moms who are listening today?
Make yourself a priority. Um, there's a quote that says you can't pour from an empty cup, but as moms, we do it so much. We just run, 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 and give, give, give. But make yourself a priority. Do something for yourself, whether it is to invest in your dream. It's not too late. Just because you have children doesn't mean you have to stop and just be a mom. And
Mhm.
so make yourself a self-care regimen. Whether it's once a month you're going to get a manicure or pedicure, or once a month you're going to buy face masks from Target, and you're going to make a day where you sit with the towel wrapped around your head, and you face mask and steam your face and drink your favorite tea, whatever it is, to give
Mhm.
mom what her soul needs,
Yeah.
so that when your children grow up and go on, you're not empty. Make sure that you do that, because they won't be here
Wow.
forever. And I met Brandy's mom on Clubhouse. She's a part of the Real
Mm.
Moms Club. And one thing she said to me that always stuck with me is that she made her life all about her children. They are very successful, but now at her seasoned age, she's trying to figure out, what does Miss Sonia want to do, and get to it. So do it now.
Wow.
Do it now.
Wow. Do it now. Do it afraid if you have to. Are you still on
Mhm.
the Clubhouse platform? I know
Yeah,
people have been
not
talking about it as much.
not as consistently as I was before.
Mhm.
I used to be on all day, every day, but now with growth, I have to,
Mhm.
work. Now,
Absolutely.
Moments of Joy has grown, so I don't have the time as much, but other moms are there. Now it's open, so they're
Wow.
talking, and they're holding down the club.
Oh, that is amazing. So how can we continue to follow you? I know that you have a retreat coming up. Not sure if you
Yeah,
want to
we're going to
share that.
Cancun. Yes, if you are a
Coaching
mom,
program.
yes, if you are a mom and you want to travel with other moms, we are going to Cancun on August 4th to 7th. Payment plans are available and the price is really affordable. So that's going to be exciting. And I am a
Mhm.
podcast coach. So if you are interested in starting or, you're one who wants to start, but you don't have time to do all the things on the back end, we also do all of the producing for different shows as well.
Nice. I didn't know you did the production.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And what about your Instagram handles?
Yes, Instagram handle is Moments of Joy Podcast. If you're a mom and you want to connect there, and Moments of Joy Academy for the
Mm,
podcast teachings.
lovely, lovely. Well, I like to end every segment with this one question. If you can encourage parents, moms with children with special needs or disabilities, what is one lasting thing you want to leave with them?
Um, I would say I would speak to the newbies who may have just received the diagnosis. Um,
Mhm.
And there's a denial phase that we all go through. So I would say don't let the denial phase last too long. Jump into resources, jump into everything that your child will need, and make sure that you find a support group, whether it's locally, online, on Facebook. They have amazing support groups, or you can connect with us on Instagram at Moments of Joy Podcast, because we have support groups as well sometimes. So make sure that you stay connected because there's so many resources that we as moms just learn from each other.
I love it. I love it, guys. So,
Mhm.
risers, if you are listening, if you are watching, be sure to go over and bless the other moms with your presence. Thank you so much, Camille, for rising with us
You're
today.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we'll go on and have an amazing week. And remember to rise because the world is waiting. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rising with Christian podcast. There is someone you know who could be blessed by this episode, so share it with a friend, be a blessing, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. All right, guys, have a wonderful week, and don't forget to rise today because your future is now.